Good afternoon, students. Students, in previous class, we have studied about different features of a democracy. Today, we'll introspect the pros and cons of democracy. Here, we will discuss merits and demerits of democracy. Let's start with the review on the main arguments against democracy. First, democracy can lead to instability as the leaders keep changing in a democratic government. Second, quick action is not possible in democracy as many people need to be concerned before making any kind of decision. Third, politicians are not too much concerned about morality in a democracy because this form of government is all about political competition and power play. In fact, electoral competition provides a lot of scope for corruption. Elected leaders may not know about the best interests of the people. This can lead to bad decisions. It can be said that ordinary people are not qualified to select good leaders. Such people should not be given the power. Many of these arguments are indeed valid. However, some of these points could be applied to any other form of the government where power is misused. The above arguments against democracy may show that democracy is not an ideal form of government, but the debate here is whether democracy is better than any other form of the government that we are aware of. To resolve this dilemma, let's look on the other side of the coin, the arguments in favor of democracy. China recorded the worst famine in 1958 to 1961 in the history of the world with the death toll of more than 3 crores. Whereas in India, in spite of worst economic conditions, did not have such an acute famine. Economists think it was because of the government policies in India that were different. India, being a democracy, had multi party elections and the opposition party looking over the government's shoulder, and the press is free to criticize the government. Therefore, the Indian government responded to food scarcity in a manner very different from that of Chinese government. In a non-democratic system, the rulers may or may not respond to the needs or wishes of the people. This we arrived at our first argument in favor of democracy. A democratic government is more accountable to its people. As mentioned earlier, democratic decisions involve a series of consultations, meetings, and discussions among many persons. Such decisions help a democracy guard against the rash or irresponsible decisions. That is the second argument in favor of democracy. A democratic government guards against such rash and irresponsible decisions. A democratic government can ensure better decisions. During our earlier discussions on democracy, you learned that all individuals may have different ideas, ideals, and values. This is true. In a country like India with such diversities, in a democracy, no one can be regarded as a winner or a loser permanently. Therefore, democracy enables people to deal with differences and conflicts in a peaceful manner. This was the sum up of the arguments about democracy on the quality of government and the quality of social life. The more important aspect of democracy is the effect of democracy on the citizens in enforcing political equality. Democracy enhances the dignity of citizens. It accounts the same status to all the people regardless their wealth or education, rather than subjects to the rulers. Citizens rule themselves through elected representatives. When they make mistakes, they are responsible for their conduct. Democracy is better than any other form of the governments because it allows us to correct our own mistakes. No form of government can guarantee perfection. However, democracy is a form of government allows relatively more transparency, public discussions, correction of mistakes. In representative democracy, people rule through their elected representatives. We opt for representative democracy just because of the following reasons. Firstly, it is not physically possible for all the people to sit together and make collective decisions. All people can't sit together to make decisions. Secondly, all citizens may not have the time or skill to take part in the process of decision making for understanding and operation in a democratic setup. Now, we need to look at the broader meaning of democracy. We can understand it with an example. Let's take an example of families and schools. Families and schools can be democratic as well. In a democratic family, the opinion of each family member is given equal importance in decision making. Similarly, there is scope for democracy in schools as well. Students like teachers who encourage them to be curious learners. A decision can be democratic if it is made after consultations of everyone likely to be affected by it. For example, in relatively small communities like Gram Sabha, all the members can sit together and make decisions directly. The features of democracy that we discussed earlier provide a basic foundation for our understanding of democracy and also what an ideal democracy should be look like. Thus, broadly speaking, democracy involves public participation, consultation and representation. That's all about the chapter. I hope you all have understood it properly. Thank you so much.